So today we have a slight threat over portions of central and northern Iowa, clear up into through parts of that southeastern tip of Minnesota, and then Wisconsin. So looking at this is going to be associated with a low. So what is expected is kind of a whipping action of fast speeding storms through this area, and some of them could be supercells. And so the biggest threats are going to be damaging wind, potentially hail. There is a lower end threat for tornadoes included with this. So it is definitely a day to be watching which cells go severe. Temperature-wise today, it is going to be very nice. You can see that little connection up to Canada of cooler air that is associated with that low down over parts of Kansas and Missouri, and that is traveling to the northeast, so we're going to see a band of some cooler temperatures start to work its way into parts of the Midwest later on today and tomorrow. But that's the only area where we're seeing those cooler temperatures. Otherwise, we're seeing very warm temperatures out in front of it, 80 degrees plus, and across the rest of the nation we're seeing about the same, 70s and 80s to 80 degrees. So it's a very nice day overall for the spring. So here in the morning hours, we are expecting just some smaller showers developing across that low pressure region. We are seeing just some showers down in the south. None of these are expected to be severe, but we will see thunderstorms across the eastern half of the country for the majority of the day. Most that's going to be guided by daytime convection from the heat and moisture that we've had. And a lot of these places in the east have had a lot of rain recently, so that's why we're going to see a lot of these pop-up thunderstorms over the next week, is because of there's so much humidity because of the moisture in the ground that we're seeing storms just puff up out of nowhere. The afternoon hours, we are expecting to start to see some of those like squall line whipping action motions over parts of Iowa, and then we're going to see some pop-ups obviously occurring, as I mentioned, in the eastern half of the country. But the area to focus on is that separate little tail that spins out from that Iowa line, and what's going to end up happening with that is it's going to have the damaging winds, and that's going to have some of the other threats that we could see later on. But overall, that is something that I think we all should watch out for, is what happens during the afternoon hours, because that will develop into what happens in the overnight hours. So as I mentioned, the overnight hours, we see a big cluster of thunderstorms that is moving northwestward kind of through Minnesota. That is our threat for Wisconsin and Minnesota. I would pay attention to that because it's going to have hail and profuse amounts of rain, and it is going to be a big rainmaker for this region, expecting somewhere between 1 and 2 inches in a lot of areas. So it's definitely one of those days that you want to tie down the lawn furniture, and if you can, enjoy the day in the early afternoon, because the later evening and the nighttime is where up there in northern Iowa and into Minnesota, where you're going to have a lot of these big storms moving through. Could be some lightning with that. That is obviously a threat with thunderstorms. But the rest of the country is looking kind of calm at this time of the night. We're seeing storms that pop up. They're quick pop-ups. They're not going to stick around a long time. So they're dying off and then popping back up again. So it's really just scattered among the eastern part of the country. But the rest of the country is just kind of chilling out, not seeing too much. It's a very nice day, so I'd get out there and enjoy it after your Memorial Day here. Well, thank you all for listening and watching. We hope you join us tomorrow for our forecast for Wednesday. And always check us out on enhanced weather days that it is told the day before. We will be doing an enhanced threat briefing if one is posted the day before. So make sure you stay tuned for those to check out any severe weather that could affect you. Today is looking quite calm, so there will not be one today. And we remind you to be weather ready.